as bad as those that were praising Jesus out of ignorance. Because they had the wrong understanding of him. Oh, my God. Oh, Jesus. Y'all already left the room. Jesus came to disrupt. And what you see, hear this, write this down, it's not going to be on the screen. But what you see is the crowd was curious but uncommitted. Remember, they were curious, but they wasn't committed. How do you know they wasn't committed? They was not committed because if you study that story, you realize that by the end of it all, they were wanting to crucify him. Now, the Pharisees was the initiator of it, but you had people that was, according to Scripture, that wanted egging it on. How do you know? They were egging it on because they was like, they came out and there was a judgment between Barabbas and Jesus. They said, give us Barabbas. You can keep and crucify Jesus. That means them same people that were worshiping the God, Jesus, based on their desires, was the same one that flipped the script and wanted to crucify him in the end. See, that's the issue that we have in the church, is because if Jesus don't meet your needs and meet your wants, that is, if he don't meet your wants, you want to throw him away, you want to cast him to the side, you want to say crucify him. But is there anybody in here to say, gee, if you don't give me what I want, I will not throw away you, I will worship you for the rest of my life? Because the truth of the matter is, if you don't bless me another day, you've already done enough. Here is the deeper issue. I got to get to this. The deeper issue is that they had a version of Jesus in their mind that did not match the mission he carried in his heart. Because they were like, listen, I'm coming and I want this. I'm going to worship you because I want you to heal me, deliver me. So they had an idea of Jesus, but they didn't connect with him because they understood the mission. Here's a question I want to pose. I got to get through this. Kira, it's so good to see you. I got to get through this. You ready for it? Okay. If you're ready, say I'm ready. Here's the question you should ask yourself. Why do I come to church? Am I a crowd? Because the last time I checked, people will only be a part of something based on their preference. I told you, the fellows were talking today, and here's a deeper theological thought, right? I say theological thought because according to Scripture, you'll realize this, that when those that came and were connected to a church, it was based on the region. Church was planted based on the need in the region, not based on the preference of the people. So we have churches on every corner. But every church don't need to have, every people don't need to have, we don't need to have these many churches because a lot of churches are created based on preference. Therefore, people only sit in the church based on their desires and what they like, not based on the reality of who Jesus is. So the question becomes, why am I here? I told you I don't know how it was going to come out. It's just coming out. Why am I here? Because it means if your life isn't centered on him, you will fall apart, and even while standing next to Jesus. In other words, if Jesus is not really the center and you're coming for the right reason, you'll still fall apart even if you come to church. My God. How do you know? Because watch what it says. Put it on the screen. Verse number 16. It says, at first Jesus' disciples didn't know what the prophecy meant. It's on the screen. They didn't know what it meant. However, when Jesus was glorified, the disciples remember that these things had been written about him and that they had done these things to him. In other words, this entire time, they were seeing this stuff being done, but they did not have understanding of it. It wasn't until, see, you got to understand the writer. Minister Brandon, I'm going to teach you that. You got to understand the writer. This, what you see him saying that in the middle of that, was not in that moment. He was referring to after Jesus had been risen from the dead. When Jesus became glorified, that's when they had an understanding of why he had to ride on the donkey and why all of that stuff took place before. Because in that moment, they didn't understand him. They were walking with him, but they didn't have understanding of what was going on. See, here's the challenge. A lot of us, we are committed to Jesus, but some stuff we don't understand. Oh, my God. All right. Y'all gonna leave me by myself. But I'm about to come. They don't connect the moment to the mission. They were present, but they was not aware because Jesus is right into Jerusalem. It was happening. It was happening. Oh, my God. Yeah, would keep me in a box. Yeah, would keep me in a box. And therefore, you won't be able to see me. You'll follow me, but you'll still keep me in a box. See, here's the difference between the crowd and the disciples. The crowd wanted Jesus based on what they on their preference. They wanted him to heal based on their need. They didn't really want Jesus. They wanted what he was going to do. The disciples, they were following Jesus. They were committed to him. But here's the problem. Healing taking place in the church. Some of us have seen the power of God. But the truth of the matter is, you still limit God because you keep him in a box based on your view of him and the tradition of him when he's saying, I come to disrupt that part of you. Oh, I told you this wasn't going to be one of them. Here it is, miracle. That we learn from this, that proximity. You ever been in a relationship with somebody and they did something you like, they did that one thing you like, I've been with you this whole time. It's like I didn't know you. You ain't never had that? You're like, my God, like I ain't never see this. Something new. Because just because you live in the same house doesn't mean that you have the right perception of them. Jesus said, you've been walking with me, but here's the issue. If you don't have the right understanding of who I am, you'll keep me in a box. You will honor the box. You'll be faithful and loyal to the box, but you'll never have the fullness of me. Here's the thing. My wife, we've been married for 15 years. And one thing I'm starting to really understand, my wife is starting to get it. I say she's starting to get it because my wife did something this week. I was so proud of her. I was so dead serious. She went and got some stuff she'd been talking about she was going to do for a long time. She went and bought it, and she started making some products and stuff like that. And I came in there, and I was like, girl, I'm so proud of you. She thought I was playing. But I was so serious because I understand what's on the inside of you. I never want to put you in a point where I box you in because see, here it is. Sometimes we can box people in and miss really what they have to offer. You know, I'm able to do more, but because of your preference and because of tradition, you can box me in and keep you from being able to experience the fullness of what I have. And Jesus says to the disciples, listen, I'm writing and doing this because what I'm trying to do is to make sure that you can literally be in the right place, doing the right thing, following him, and still miss him. Oh, my God, it reminds me, like, here's a sign. When it's time for us to go, all right. When you hit on words, all right, oh, you know it's time to go. Because you become familiar with the language. You become familiar. And see, some of us, we are in proximity of Jesus, but we don't know the language of him. You've been walking with him, but you don't know the language. And here's the thing. Here it is, miracle. See, God is trying to tell you in this season, I want you to walk with me. Even if you don't understand it, trust my plan. Because some revelations don't come in the moment. They come later. Some of you, the Lord, I feel it in my spirit. Some of you, the Lord has been trying to tell you and urge you to do some stuff, and you've been wondering what it is, and you're waiting on the why. And God said, no, I need you to do. The why will come later. And you want. This is why Isaiah, put it on the screen, Isaiah 55, verse 8-9 says, my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither my ways are your what? Ways. He says, what I'm doing. There's been times I would have took off at the time I needed to take off. I would have been in an accident. And that semi, He's been telling you to put the phone down. He's been telling you, if you just obey, you'll stop a person ruining your life. If you just walking with him, I got to learn to trust him. And here's the word for you. Don't allow